down. Thank you all so much for joining us for our Durham County Board of Commissioners regular session tonight, May 28th, 2024 at 7 p.m. Please, if you have a seat open next to you, if you want to raise your hand so folks who are standing can see that there's available seats. So feel free to fill in the chairs if you feel comfortable. Okay, we will get started with our public charge. The Board of Commissioners asks its members and citizens to conduct themselves in a respectful, courteous manner, both with the board and fellow citizens. At any time, should any member of the board or any citizen fail to observe this public charge, the chair will ask the offending person to leave the meeting until that individual regains personal control. Should decorum fail to be restored, the chair will recess the meeting until such time that a genuine commitment to the public charge is observed. Now I'll lead us in our land acknowledgement. As we convene for the Durham County Commissioners meeting, it's crucial to recognize the painful truth of history. We stand on the stolen ancestral lands of the Catawba, Eno, Occaneechi, Shakori, and Tuscarora peoples, whose deep connection to this land predates our arrival. We acknowledge with humility the unjust displacement and violence that occurred, leading to the dispossession of indigenous peoples from their homelands. Their resilience in the face of such adversity is a testament to their strength and spirit. May we humbly honor the ancestors and elders of these nations, both past and present, by committing ourselves to fostering understanding, healing, and justice for all who inhabit this land. Let us walk forward together with open hearts, acknowledging the past and embracing a future guided by compassion, respect, and unity. As a courtesy to others, please turn off all your cell phones and electronic devices during the meeting. And I'll ask for a point of personal privilege to just say that I am 2 weeks postpartum, so I will be stepping in and out here and there because in addition to being a commissioner, I am also a dairy farm that will need to go in the back. So please excuse me from time to time, and I'll leave you in the capable hands of Vice Chair Burns then. And now I'll ask for the Pledge of Allegiance from Commissioner Carter. I will now ask if there's any adjustments to the agenda. Seeing none, I will pass it to our clerk, Ms. Monica, for announcements.
Good evening, everyone. I will read the announcements published in tonight's agenda. The Aging Well Durham's website has officially launched. On this site, you will find the comprehensive aging plan, learn about the missions and visions, as well as get updates about community events. You can visit agingwelldurham.org for additional information. The Partnership for a Healthy Durham wants to hear your thoughts on Durham County's health priorities. You can earn a $25 gift card for participating in a community listening session. There are two on Wednesday, May 29th. Persons with disabilities at Bull City Bake Shop located at 3601 Witherspoon Boulevard, Suite 109. From 9:30 till 11:30 a.m. There is a link for registration. Adults who identify as men from 1 to 3 p.m. at JRC3 Designs, which is located at 4715 Hillsborough Road, and there's also a link for registration there. The Durham County Northern Convenience Site, located at 1189 North Roxborough Road in Rougemont, will hold an electronic recycling drop-off event on Saturday, June 1st from 8 a.m. to 12 p.m. This event is for residents of unincorporated Durham County only, and you must have a current 2324 solid waste decal to participate. Accepted items are televisions, stereo equipment, gaming consoles, etc., computers, monitors, laptops, keyboards. There is a full list of items here. Commercial generated waste is not accepted. Everyone is invited to the Durham County Courthouse, located at 510 South Dillard Street, on Wednesday, June 5th, for the annual North Carolina official Juneteenth flag-raising ceremony, sponsored by Spectacular Magazine. The ceremony will begin at 11:30 a.m. with the flag raising at 12 noon. Please visit spectacularmag.com for more information. Durham Neighborhood College is a unique 7-week educational program offered by the governments of the City of Durham and Durham County for residents to meet and interact with staff to learn about all things local government. Sessions run on Thursday nights from September 5th through October 17th with a light meal provided. The class is limited to 25 participants and the cost is $35. You can apply at dconc.gov/neighborhood college, and the deadline is June 21st. Are you owed any of the almost $1.3 billion in the North Carolina Treasury Unclaimed Property Fund? You can claim cash, part of the NC Cash program, which helps reunite owners with their unclaimed property. Unclaimed property consists of bank accounts, wages, utility deposits, insurance, policy proceeds, stocks, bonds, and contents of safety deposit boxes that typically have been abandoned for 5 years. You can visit nccash.com and enter your name or business names to see if you have unclaimed cash today. And lastly, the Durham County Public Information Office has produced My Durham, a guide to Durham County for kids. This is a booklet that gives children in Durham County a comprehensive resource to teach young readers about how Durham County government works and the important services designed to support a community where everyone can live, grow, and thrive. You can download your copy in English or Spanish, and there are links available. Or you can pick up a copy at the Durham County Library locations and at the Public Information Office. That concludes the announcements published in tonight's agenda.
Thank you, Clerk Wallace. Are there any announcements from members of the board? Okay, seeing none. Just want to reiterate again, if there is a seat available next to you, because we've had more people come in, if you want to just raise your hand again so folks know they can find a place to sit down if they'd like. Let's give folks a moment to settle in. Now we have 2 meeting minutes to be approved, our May 6th, 2024 work session and our May 13th regular session.
So moved.
Moved by Commissioner Howerton, seconded by Commissioner Carter. All in favor, say aye.
Aye. Aye.
Any opposed? Minutes are approved unanimously, 5-0. And now to our ceremonial items, with the first being a resolution for Asian American Pacific Islander Heritage Month 2024 that I will read. The Durham Board of County Commissioners Resolution, Asian American Pacific Islander Heritage Month 2024. Whereas Asian American Pacific Islander Heritage Month has been celebrated nationally since 1992 to recognize the contributions, rich history, and diversity that Asian American Pacific Islanders bring to our communities. And whereas North Carolina has been home to members of the Asian American Pacific Islander community since the mid-19th century, when the first Chinese immigrants began to settle in our state. And whereas over 20,000 Asian American Pacific Islanders call Durham County their home, and whereas throughout history, Asian American Pacific Islanders have faced adversity and used their strength and resilience to become leaders and trailblazers in our nation, including but not limited to our Vice President Kamala Harris. And whereas the efforts and contributions of Asian American Pacific Islanders can be seen in every aspect of society, including education, history, politics, healthcare, economics, and science, playing a pivotal role in the history of the United States. And whereas the state of North Carolina, Governor Roy Cooper, and Durham County are proud to commemorate May as Asian American Pacific Islander Heritage Month and to recognize the contributions of Asian American Pacific Islanders to diversity, leadership, and empowerment throughout our nation's history. Now, therefore, I, Chair Nida Alam, and on behalf of the Durham County Board of Commissioners, do hereby proclaim the month of May 2024 as Asian American Pacific Islander Heritage Month in Durham County, North Carolina, and call upon all citizens to observe and celebrate the AEPI community and to mark this month with appropriate observances honoring endless possibilities of Asian Americans everywhere. This, the 28th day of May 2024. And we're joined by Dr. Brent Lewis. Oh, Mike.
Thank you. That's better. Good evening. Thank you, Commissioners, on behalf of the Office of Equitable Wellbeing for the resolution for Asian American Pacific Islander Heritage Month for May 2024. And I'll stay right here because I have another resolution that you're about to read.
Thank you. And now I'll pass it to Commissioner Jacobs for the Jewish American Heritage Month resolution.
Durham Board of County Commissioners Resolution, Jewish American Heritage Month 2024. Whereas Jewish American Heritage Month is a time to honor the significant religious, cultural, political, and economic contributions Jewish Americans have made to our state, nation, and Durham County, and whereas since 2006, May has nationally been considered Jewish American Heritage Month, and all citizens are invited to celebrate the vibrant and varied American Jewish experience. And whereas Jewish Americans represent communities across the globe in their diverse racial and linguistic makeup, and whereas Jewish communities have existed in North Carolina since the 1600s, and whereas Jewish North Carolinians have been participants and leaders in the front lines of fights for women's suffrage, racial and gender justice, and social movements supporting diverse North Carolinians, and whereas the North Carolina Council on the Holocaust teaches us that combating prejudice, indifference, and systemic bias can create a stronger, more tolerant society. And North Carolina's Jewish communities continue to work with members of all faiths and backgrounds so that never again shall any people suffer the evils of discrimination and racial or religious hatred. Now, therefore, I, Chair Nida Alam, and on behalf of the Durham County Board of Commissioners, do hereby proclaim the month of May 2024 as Jewish American Heritage Month in Durham County, North Carolina, and call upon all citizens to observe and celebrate the successes of Jewish Americans and to mark this month with appropriate observances honoring endless possibilities of Jewish Americans everywhere, this the 28th day of May 2024.
Thank you, Commissioner Jacobs.
Go ahead. Again, I'll just speak quick again on that Office of Equitable Wellbeing. We thank you for these resolutions, and please follow us on our website. Please follow the postings that we put that scroll across the screens for DECO and the programming that is coming from Equitable Wellbeing. It is impacting our communities. It is impacting our staff. I received an email from a colleague today just about Jewish American Heritage Month in particular, and how it brought her to tears, the resolution and the work that's happening within the space and how impactful it was. And so I'm thankful to have the engagement and support from our board about the resolutions, but also the engagement from Equitable Wellbeing and you seeing us and what we're doing.
Thank you, Dr. Lewis, for continuously bringing these resolutions, and not just these resolutions, but actually putting actions and projects into place for us across Durham County. I highly encourage everyone to go and check out the website because Dr. Lewis is relatively newish to the county. I feel like it's been 6.
Tomorrow will make 1 year, actually.
Wow. So to see all the things that they've accomplished in this 1 year, and if you have other ideas and projects, I know you'll be very interested to hear and collaborate with the community. Anyone else have comments? Commissioner Jacobs?
I just wanted to echo everything that you said, and just to thank you for creating a culture and a community in Durham County that celebrates everyone. Thank you.
Thank you.
That brings us to our consent agenda. We have five items on the consent agenda. Are there any items that anyone would like to pull? Okay, then I will entertain a motion for approval.
So moved, Madam Chair.
Second.
Okay, moved by Vice Chair Burns, seconded by Commissioner Jacobs. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Okay, consent agenda is approved unanimously 5-0.
I did see some more people come in, and I see you kind of pointing. There are two in the front row up here, and then two that are right behind it, just for clarification. And then there, I see some people waving. They have their hands up. There are also two more in the front row. So.
Wonderful. And now that brings us to, I think, what everyone here is really for, which is going to be our public hearing. And my computer just crashed. Our public hearing for the 2024-25 budget. Let me go. And the board is requested to conduct a public hearing to receive citizen input on the FY 24-25 county manager's recommended budget, to be able to hear from all interested citizens. The commissioners will have a time limit of 1.5 minutes each for their comments, and I will call your name up. So as you get called up, I'll call 2 to 3 names at a time, and folks will walk up to this side of the wall where Clerk Wallace is, and you'll be able to speak into that microphone. There is a timer at the bottom, and there's also comments that we've received via email that the clerk has included in our minutes and forwarded to each of us. And I just ask that, to address the board concerning this specific agenda item, please make sure that you introduce yourself, share your address that you're a Durham County resident, and please refrain from any personal comments or attacks towards any staff members. And if you aren't if you're not interested in speaking publicly, you can still submit written comments to the clerk at clerk@dconc.gov. Okay, did you have a comment, Vice Chair?
Yeah. Only one. So thank you, Chair Long, for this opportunity for personal privilege, but it's really not mine. I think I speak for myself as well as my board members. One, we recognize that it is a privilege for people to tell you about their problems, and we sit in that. I would also like to throw out there that we recognize how hard it is to ask somebody for help, because each one of us has had to ask somebody for help. As a resident, as well as a leader in this community, I've watched public hearings at other board meetings, at other bodies, and we've seen people been shushed. We've seen people be told not to clap. We've seen people be regulated to only thumping their fingers. Let me make it very clear, that is not how this body operates. We don't police people's protests, so by all means, we look forward to hearing from you all tonight, and we thank you for taking part in this process.
Okay, thank you. So we have about 58 people signed up to speak, and I believe we'll first start with Mr. DeWarren Langley, who is joining us virtually. DeWarren, you can unmute.
Yes, can you hear me?
Yes.
All right, good evening. Thank you for this opportunity to speak this evening. And I come to you as I do every year around a very sensitive subject, which is boys and young men of color. I would first like to start my 3 minutes by holding a moment of silence for all the young men who've been shot at, killed, or either incarcerated over the past few weeks as a result of our systems ineffectively being responsive to their needs in our community. I come before you this evening to request $25,000 to support the Charles Hamilton Houston Foundation, where we deliver essential career exploration and development programming for boys and young men of color here in Durham. This demographic is disproportionately affected by low academic proficiency, inadequate college and career readiness, high suspension and dropout rates, limited access to life-sustaining careers, and elevated involvement both in gun violence and juvenile delinquency. Our program is designed to directly tackle these disparities by offering skill-focused mentoring, academic enrichment, and leadership development. Your investment will enable us to expand our reach, enhance our resources, and build the necessary capacity for long-term program sustainability. By participating in our program, these young men will gain the skills, resources, and support needed for academic achievement and career success. They will improve their social economic prospects and grow into positive contributing members of our community. Our members on average graduate college earning $69,000 per year, which is above the average for graduating college students. Your funding will not only change individual lives, but also positively impact the broader Durham community. We deeply appreciate your consideration and hope that you will make this investment. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Langley. And now I'll call up three names, so if you just line up and take turns. So Brandon Mitchell, Yvonne Coleman, Emily Kahn.
Good evening. My name is Brandon Mitchell, 505 Ed Burton Court. Good evening, Madam Chair. I am Brandon Mitchell. I'm a retired EMS chief here from Durham and also retired director of business operations and social services. I've had the opportunity to work under three of the current sitting commissioners during my 30-year tenure. I began my emergency medical career at Durham County Hospital Corporation, as most of my colleagues did. In 1998, when Durham Regional was leased out by Duke, all Durham County Hospital employees became county employees, and at the strike of midnight, we lost our pensions. It was not until 2013 that Chief Kirkwood and myself were able to negotiate an agreement between the state retirement system and Durham County that we were able to purchase our time back from the hospital. The employees had to pay for that. My 6 years cost me $164,000. But the wrong was made right. During my time with Durham County, I managed HR for both EMS and social services. A significant selling point for employee recruitment was employer-paid health care insurance, both during employment, in retirement, and a supplement when reaching age 65. Throughout my service, I worked alongside many dedicated men and women in EMS, law enforcement, CJRC, social services, health department, and emergency management, just to name a few. I think of lifelong friends like paramedic Mo Gundrum, who is struggling to walk due to the physical toll of this job. I planned for 3 minutes. I won't be 3 minutes. But his pride in fighting his medical conditions forced him into a medical retirement. Now, the physical therapy cost will exceed livable cost with the new changes that you're proposing in the health insurance. We spent years walking outdoors, which we can no longer do. This past month, you presented a proclamation for mental health. It is important to remember that the first responders retired. Their memories, experiences do not retire. We have lost first responders, healthcare workers to drug abuse and suicide after they left the profession. Child welfare workers who become deeply connected to the children they help often face immense emotional pain when there is tragedy. These feelings do not retire. I was hoping to present some concrete numbers for you tonight, but my public information request submitted on the 11th has not been answered. People who know me.
Mr. Mitchell. I know, I'm sorry. Just with the amount of people we have signed up, we gotta be fair to everyone, giving them 1.5 minutes. If you want to share your comments to us in written format, I know we received an email from you.
Yeah, you received, the rest of it is it's based on that and just asking you to make right of this.
And then I'll make sure that the clerk has that copy so we can include your full comments in the minutes as well.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Good afternoon. I'm Yvonne Coleman, and I want to say thank you to the manager for putting together a budget that is yet challenging, and we understand some of those challenges. Thank you to the commissioners, especially our chair, for allowing all of us to be able to speak. Very briefly, I serve in two roles tonight. I am on the Cultural Advisory Board as Durham County representative, where I have the privilege of being chair, and I'm vice chair of the Durham County Stadium Authority. On behalf of the cultural community, I just want to say thank you for continuing to support our fabulous library, our wonderful Museum of Life and Science, the Museum of Durham History, and the many things that you are supporting, and the most recent COVID relief support for individual artists. And you know we're working on a plan, and thank you for supporting the public art program that I know that many citizens have seen. Lastly, as chair of the Stadium Authority, I urge you to minimize the cuts that you will need to make as you find more money to pay these teachers. And we understand that. We understand that. But we're asking you as you move forward with what you must do, and we understand what you must do, that you take into consideration those revenue-generating programs. And just like any house, if you don't take care of the foundation, everything will crumble. And general services is a foundation, as is our teachers a foundation. So thank you. One last thing, since I have a minute. Thank you, Commissioner Burns. Thank you, Commissioner Howerton, for your service. Thank you very, very much.
Hello, my name is Emily Kahn. I've lived in Durham for 16 years. I'm a social worker and a mom to 2 girls at C.C. Spalding Elementary. We chose to send our girls to the neighborhood public school because we wanted to show up for our community and all the kids assigned to C.C. Spalding Elementary. We also wanted to take part in the rich history that C.C. Spalding represents in Durham. I thought naively that if we showed up and invested in the school, the community would have our back by maintaining a strong system. That's not what we've discovered. The state has continually gutted the education budget, which we know puts a lot of pressure at the local level, and the pressure has been building for years. We have buildings that have long been ignored. My children perform in an auditorium with water-damaged walls and asbestos tiles. We have staff that are underpaid and overworked. At C.C. Spalding, we had 75% of our teachers and staff leave 2 years ago, and we fear another exodus. Services are already cut to the core. Our school has at least 20 children experiencing homelessness this year, and next year we only have 1 part-time social worker at the school. Without a fully funded budget for next year, these problems will only grow in the school system. There is no more belt-tightening to do. We need to commit as a community to support one of our most precious resources we have, our children. All of our children. I'm here tonight to urge and plead with you to fully fund the Board of Education's budget request of $27 million. We must step up as a community and put our resources where we will see the biggest return on investment, our children. Thank you.
Thank you. Next we'll have Chancellor McFalls, Nicole Node, I think it's an N, N-O-D, Nod, and Quentin Heaton, or Hedden.
Thank you. My name is Chancellor McFalls. I work with the Durham County Office of the Sheriff. I've been working here for 8 years now, and I've been in the detention services. During my time, we've come across numerous what we'd call makeshift weapons, readily known as shanks. We're asking for a certain amount of funds in order to get personal protective equipment. We have 122 serving with us right now in the detention center. I consider each and every one of those my brothers and sisters. I would like to be able to continue that, and hopefully that number will increase. These shanks that we are discovering now are not the ones that put you in a hospital for 5-10 days. These are ones that end your life. So I'm asking for your help so that we can receive the funds in order to help our people and better serve the community. Thank you.
Good evening. I am Nicole Locke. I am also a detention officer at Durham County Sheriff's Office. Just to piggyback on my partner, our facility is run by women. I have nothing against the men, but we do have majority of women as officers. And no matter what the situation is, we run in head first because we want to make sure our detainees are able to go home alive when they leave. Unfortunately, as he said, the weapons are in the facility. We don't think about our safety first. We think about theirs. The protective gear will help us leave that facility every night alive, or even possibly if we do get hurt, to be able to heal and return normally and to continue working and serve our community. So we are asking for your help. The only thing I want to leave with you is, God forbid, you say no to this. Are you able to approach any one of our family members and say, I'm sorry for your loss, when you had an opportunity to change that? Thank you.
Good evening. My name is Quentin Hedden. I'm an instructional assistant from Riverside High School. I have served Durham for 10 years, and I want to continue a lot longer. I am here on behalf of my students who asked me to speak up for them. My students say that we need all the help we can get, and that is why we are here today. We need your help. We need you to fully fund our public schools. That way we can fix all of the issues that are in our schools to make our education system better. It is a pure investment that if you do fund our schools, the best investment that you get is a better future for Durham. Our kids need better. Our staff members deserve better. We are overworked, underpaid, and in most times, and especially in my case in the classified staff position, we are very much underappreciated. I come to you with my heart pouring out and asking you and pleading with you to please save our school system, help our students. Let's build Durham to be the best that it possibly can be. Fully fund Durham Public Schools and make this place better than what it has been.
Thank you. Next, we have Crystal Moore, Earl Williams, and Paige McCullough. And while they walk up, if there is anyone who would like to sit, I'll just keep reiterating. If you want to raise your hand, if you have an empty seat near you, for anyone who would like to sit. Okay. Thank you.
My name is Crystal Moore. I live on Bivens Road in what is technically Hillsborough, but it's technically Durham County. Until March of this year, I worked at Durham Public Schools. I now work for the county. I moved to the county because y'all pay more, funnily enough. I was going to come up here and talk about the per pupil spending, but I think what I'm really going to talk about is the fact that I worked at Durham Public Schools for 9 years, and the highest amount of money I made per month was $2,800. The cost of living in Durham for rent is $2,500 for a comparable 2-bedroom to my house. The schools have, the classroom I was in, I had to Lysol down my classroom every day because it is covered in mold every day. I taught EC, the most vulnerable kids in our district. When we're talking about education, the best thing you can do in a community is fund education. Everything comes from education. You want better jobs, you want less people on county aid, give them an education and a step up.
Oh boy. My name is Earl Williams. I've been teaching for over 25 years, last 20 years with Durham Public Schools. You're probably wondering why I'm up here speaking I'm so close to retirement. This budget that they're about ready to pass, it's historic in a lot of ways, especially for me, because I'm a self-contained teacher. And for many years, I've watched teacher after teacher after teacher leave the program. I've watched because they weren't getting enough money, they were overworked, I don't know. We were finally able to convince the board that we needed to pay special needs, separate setting teachers a different salary than everybody else. So at this point, I was like, this is the very first time that I've actually seen an opportunity that this may actually happen. I may be retiring, but you're going to lose so many teachers. Like I said, year after year, I've watched teachers leave. I've been mentoring teachers, and I just watch them. This one guy, like I told one of the board members, left because he can make more money handling baggage at the RDU. Other teachers left because they don't have the support, the IAs. We don't have substitutes. We don't have, we need our IAs to be paid more than the regular IAs. I can't do my job without my assistants. And they need to be paid. And this is one time that I see there's an actual chance for this to happen. So I urge you to pass this budget. Thank you.
My name is Paige McCullough, and I've lived in Durham for 42 years, and I've been part of People's Alliance for all 42 years. I urge the Board of County Commissioners to support the school board's full request for funding. We are operating in a statewide environment intent on destroying public education one starvation budget at a time. Most of us in this room have fought and will continue to fight the privatizers who cater only to the wealthy, but in the meantime, we have kids to transport, feed, keep safe, and educate. This request is for needs, not wants, and they cannot be prioritized one above the other. We need our children to learn in diverse, inclusive, and welcoming environments modeled by adults who have the support of the community and wages that align to the other public employees in our community and in neighboring districts. We need our children to practice settling differences peacefully. We need our children to have interpreters, IAs, EC teachers, and ESL teachers, and other supports to be successful. Our children need safe transportation and healthy buildings. The DPS budget is a budget of needs, not wants. We cannot cure what ails our state on our own, but we can lead by example. We can offer a vision of what is fair and good for children. We can offer a sound basic education for our kids while we work to restore public education to its rightful place at the center of our democracy.
Thank you,
Do
Paige.
the courageous thing and okay the DPS request.
Thank you. I'm actually going to call 5 names up at a time. So Patrick Nally, please correct me if I'm mispronouncing your names. Ann Rebeck, Tara Holloway, Cynthia Williams, and Elizabeth McCoy.
Good evening. My name is Patrick Nally. I'm a retired DPS teacher. I retired before COVID hit, and my last years in Riverside and Jordan High School were wonderful. I worked in an EC department that worked as a one unit. We called parents every day to keep them posted. We were happy. Schools were great. Kids loved it. And now, the present is not like that at all. I was happy to work in the years that were good, but last year was probably the worst school year I can remember. And it doesn't have to be that way. the Board of Education has put together a nice budget that will solve a whole bunch of the problems that we had last year. And I know that the county commissioners have a tight budget of their own, but this is critical that the school board gets their full ask, because we don't want another year like last year was. Thank you.
Hello, my name's Ann Rebeck. I live on Old Sugar Road. On behalf of the People's Alliance, I'm here to underscore the request for full funding for the Durham Public Schools. As someone who has made these statements for well over a decade, I applaud the school board's ambitious request for funding needed to get us closer to equitable pay and recognition of the DPS staff and educators. I'm sure you are aware that most of the money requested will be solely for staff salaries and supplements. Because of state continued shortfalls of dollars for public education, as a united Durham, we need to find a way to keep our public schools equipped for excellence. Sorry, I lost my train of thought. Hold on. And my phone is not functioning. There we go. I recognize that this kind of support and the increase of taxes is not sustainable. PA would welcome an opportunity to partner on any and all efforts towards tax justice and creative ways to generate more revenue. There is so much wealth here in Durham. More comes in every day. A wealth that should be shared in support of our children. Thank you.
Good evening, everyone. My name is Tara Holloway. I work for the Office of the Sheriff of Durham County Detention Services. I have been employed with Detention Services going on 28 years. I'm here tonight to ask that we receive the funding for protective vests for our officers. We need this equipment while we are keeping the community's families safe inside, and so that we can go home safely to our families. I understand why it's important to keep deputies and city police officers on the street safe with vests. Now, if we can make sure that it's just important to keep us, the officers in detention, when the same dangerous detainees that the officers arrest and render to the jail, with one detention officer staff being surrounded by 48 detainees, is not just as important to keep safe. We are finding more makeshift shanks than any other time in the history of the detention facility. Detainees are making shanks with the pencils we provide them, toothbrushes, forks, torn bed sheets, any items they can find. They're making these items mostly to protect themselves from other defendants in the facility. But the what ifs are the big concern we have. Just imagine, if it was one of us, one of your family members. We want to go home to our children and families safely too. The climate is changing and the detainees in our facility have nothing to lose. We work in fear of the unknown every day, praying nothing happens. Please consider Detention Services for funding for protective vests. Detention Services need them. Thank you.
Good evening, Commissioners. My name is Cynthia Williams. I'm a Durham resident. I'm also the co-chair of the Coalition for Affordable Housing and Transit here in Durham. Tonight, on behalf of the Coalition, I'm here to underline the pressing need for the following budget requests. Expansion of the Low-Income Homeowners Relief Program to provide grant for the entire property tax bill of all extremely low-income residents of Durham, that being those at 30% or less AMI. Currently, the program is only for 60 and over. Second, the Coalition urges the provision of additional capacity for the county assessor, who I see is here tonight, including staff and resources to assess larger, more complex commercial developments in Durham. This is crucial for ensuring more accurate assessments of luxury apartment buildings, RTP labs, and research spaces which are currently underassessed. It's been mentioned here in a prior session that revenues are going down or projected to go down for the city. We have commercial opportunity here. We have opportunity to regain tax money from developers that are putting in large luxury buildings and complexes, so that we cannot put the tax burden on our residents and that we can help pay for what all of these citizens want and need to be able to stay here in Durham. So on behalf of the coalition, we ask you to please, please, please consider our request. We are not looking to cause any difficulties in your budgeting. However, these are things that we feel are much needed for our Durham residents. Thank you.
Good evening, everyone. First, I'm going to start off by saying knowledge is power, so please fully fund Durham Public Schools this year. Yeah, I was going to next. I got you. I was going to state that next. I just want to start that off. But my name is Elizabeth McCoy, a resident of Nightendale, North Carolina, who travels daily on the highway 35 to 40 minutes to fully service and serve my students here in Durham Public Schools. This school year, I served as Instructional Assistant of the Year for Durham Public Schools. As Instructional Assistant of the Year, I was greeted with much responsibility. I worked with 2 classes, going above and beyond, working hard, and serving my school. I deserve better. We deserve better. Durham Public Schools deserves better. The lowest pay for instructional assistants is $17.50. You can make more money elsewhere, like Target or Amazon. Think about that, guys. That's deep right there. I'm standing before you today asking the city of Durham and the county of commissioners to be righteous and give us what we're asking for. We need a change, and it happens tonight. I pray that God puts on your hearts to approve our budget demands. This is my 5th year in Durham Public Schools, and I'm calling for action. I'm holding you guys responsible. We need a big change in our salaries, and we all deserve better. We all deserve to live a happy life and enjoy the fruits of our labor. The time is now, and respectfully, please cut our checks and give us the money that we asked for. We really need it. We deserve better. One more thing, y'all. It can't change overnight, but it starts somewhere. Let's make it start here. Have a good night.
All right, I will go with the next 5. I have Andre Rivero, Amanda Ghosh, Meg Goodhand, Sky Drill, Haley Davidson, and Dennis Garrett. I did 6. Come on up.
Hey, is that what we're doing? Hi, my name is Andre Rivero. I am a parent of 3 DPS students and also a homeowner here in Durham. So I have a stake in how my schools are being staffed, and also I would be the one footing the bill if you were to approve a lot of these measures. So background, I'm Puerto Rican. My kids here, they speak Spanish at home, and I have been really grateful for a lot of the Spanish immersion programs that are offered at Southwest Elementary, for example, where my son goes. I also have a foster daughter, right, and she goes to Burton, where she has a speech pathologist. She's had a rough life. She's been in care for 2 of her 4 years of life, and she's got a lot of catching up to do, and hopefully we'll help her with that. Her speech pathologist has been a huge part of that, so now we can understand what she's saying, which helps a lot. I have loved having my kids in these public schools, but in this past year, I feel more like a survivor than a parent, right? I have had my kids in my neighborhood, we were all, at the beginning of the year, walking to school together. That is until the EC staff that was servicing one of my neighbors left, and so her anxiety, she started having breakdowns in class. So her mom pulled her out of school. She's now going to a private school, right? And then one of the other students that was on my street, she was in 1st grade, she was being taught entirely by a substitute because her teacher had quit for a higher paying job. And then when the sub just lost it in the middle of a class, couldn't take it anymore, and then just went off on these students, she pulled her out of class. She's not going to a private school. And I am lucky that my kids are still being served well, but I don't know if that's going to stand up next year, right? I don't know if my kids' teachers will still be present or they're going to quit one Wednesday in the middle of the school year because they can't take it because they can't pay their bills. So I am seeing the cracks form, and it's not acceptable, right? My foster daughter's speech pathologist quit 1 month ago, right? So her progress in being able to speak has stopped, right? So this child might not speak English next year because the EC staff is not being funded, right? I understand that the state is sabotaging public education. So let me say, as a homeowner, as a taxpayer, if they won't pay for it, we will, right? We've already spoken at the school board. We just need you to follow through on that. Take the funds, fund our public schools. Thank you.
Hi, I'm Anand Nagosh, 2317 Cook Road. As a DPS graduate, a DPS uncle, a 10-year DPS employee, educator, I urge you to fully fund the BOE's budget request. Why do I teach public school in Durham? Ms. Flores, the instructional assistant enriching my academics at Parkwood Elementary, while the lead teacher taught to the middle of an overcrowded classroom. My bus driver, Ms. Hamilton, setting bullies straight right quick so I felt safe arriving for a day of learning at Lowe's Grove Middle. Mr. Johnson, fresh off a shiny new NCCU Masters of Arts in Teaching degree, giving me project-based learning, all the project-based learning I could handle as a Jordan Falcon. These high-quality educators, they found their way in Durham, and I've wanted to do the same, but it gets harder and harder. Rising cost of living, administrative bumbles, diminishing staff. Without fully funding the current request, inspiring, hardworking, high-quality educators are going to move to neighboring counties where they have master's pay, EC supplement, competitive pay for classified workers. I and so many others that believe in Durham are willing to move with y'all to raise taxes so that we can pay for the future that Durham's children deserve. Please make the right choice.
Thank you.
Hello, everybody. I'm Sky Deal. I live at 5804 Tattersall Drive. Was I the next one? Yes. Okay, good. I just wanted to check. I'm an ESL teacher, English as a second language teacher at Northern High School. It's my 7th year doing that, all in Durham Public Schools, all at Northern. And I absolutely love what I do. I love the community and the diversity and the amazing students that we have. So at Northern, we have over 233 ESL students right now, and we have 3 ESL teachers, so that's a caseload of over 77 per person, which I can tell you is a lot. And we have regular content classes in addition to checking in with the students and supporting teachers and modifying assignments, meetings, paperwork, giving new students tours, working with schedules. We do it all. And our students do not just speak Spanish. We have over 10 different languages, and that's just this year alone. So some of them are Vietnamese, Farsi, Urdu, Pashto, Kinyarwanda, Swahili, Arabic, Hausa, Otomi, and French. And we've had other ones in the past. That's just for this year. So we do a lot, and it is hard to retain quality and qualified staff in these positions. When I was still a beginning teacher, my department, the rest of them, left for higher paying jobs. One retired early and did something different. The other one went to a different state that paid more. So I became department chair by default. And I just encourage you to give the most amount of funding to this to help retain these positions, because these are high needs, special needs students that require that extra care. And the more that we don't fund these, they're going to be the ones that this hits the most severely and the most over time. So I really love the community, and I hope that you're able to give that funding to them, as well as all the classified workers. So EC and EL supplements are important, but all the classified workers that help them as well. So thank you so much.
Thank you, Ms. Dye.
Good evening. I am Meg Goodhand, and I'm proud to say I'm a retiree of Durham Public Schools. I also raised 3 amazing daughters, objectively, who went through Durham Public Schools as well. I am very vested, obviously, in the public schools, and a homeowner. I'm ready for the taxes you need to put forth for us fully. I'm also privileged to supervise UNC student teachers who are so enthusiastic, so talented, and committing to Durham Public Schools. We cannot afford to lose them or this incredible staff that is already here in Durham Public Schools. And I know over the years, county commissioners have always warmed my heart, because you have been champions for public schools. And this is no time to turn around and not fully support the public schools. One of my daughters was a teacher for a while. She's tried out some other careers, but she says, you know, Mom, when I go to interviews, I should just say I was a teacher, because then they'll give me the job. Because she knows, like all of you, how incredibly hard this job is, how dedicated you have to be to face all the disparities in the school and commit to every day coming in and getting paid that barely covers the basic needs of life. Our devoted educators and support staff are the only answer to stronger schools, stronger students in our community. And I know that you all are willing to stand up and fight the status quo and support these schools fully, and I will too. Thank you.
Oh, Ms. Davidson, there you go. Just for everybody, not before they start, it's a lot of height differences. So y'all saw what Ms. Davidson did. Please move it up and down, because we missed some of it, and I don't want to miss all the good meat. So, all right.
Thank you. Very aware of my height. My name is Haley Davidson. I grew up next door in Mebane and began my teaching career in New York City, where I earned my master's in education while I was teaching full-time. I'm now finishing my 3rd year of teaching at Brogdon Middle, where I moved back to North Carolina specifically to teach in Durham because I believe in your mission for our students. I'm speaking tonight to explain why it is critical for you to fully fund the Board of Education's budget request and how this request directly impacts my students every single day. This year, I've held 2 separate part-time jobs outside of my contract hours. I currently walk dogs every day after work. In the first half of the year, I delivered groceries for people as well. While this on its own is hard for most people to hear from me, it's the hardest for my students. Having them ask me if I'm going to their game after school or their band concert or other events, and having to say no, I have to go to my second job, and watching their faces drop has been some of my saddest moments this year with them. They know their teachers aren't paid enough. After a big science project, I have students thanking me because they know I paid for my materials out of my pocket. After a synthetic frog dissection, they knew I bought the tools that were in their hands myself. We just finished a bottle rocket launch activity. They asked me specifically if I bought those materials myself. They know what's happening. Children that should just be enjoying these activities are wildly aware of the situation their teachers are in. Fully funding this budget is absolutely critical and impacts our children at every corner. My master's program is what showed me the magic that happens when kids get to explore science instead of being told science. There's been a long-term sub in my team's other position the entire year. He has held it down, and I appreciate him so thoroughly. However, my kids deserve a fully qualified teacher just as me, and I deserve that within my coworkers as well. Please fund this budget. Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Goodhand.
Okay, so my name is Dennis Garrett. I live on Angie Avenue. I run the program called Love and Respect, and I do want to support the teachers. I want to say that. I want to support the sheriff and the detention officers. However, I stand before you. I want to talk about this gun violence and this crime. I want to talk about this intervention and crime prevention. Like, we got the resources right here in our city and in our town that we can do something different. Like, you're talking about the school system. Them kids ain't coming to school because they ain't getting the proper education, so they out there in the streets terrorizing our streets. You know, I work hand in hand with the sheriff. If the sheriff need me, like, to do an intervention, if the Commissioner Burns and Commissioner Howerton, I want to say thank you. Wendy, I want to say thank y'all for when there's crime going on in the streets. See, I don't want to get that phone call in the middle of the night. We do that intervention and prevention. We can't stop all the crime because we ain't getting the right funding. We can't stop all the crime because them kids ain't getting no intervention in their mindset. We got to change their way of thinking so they can change their way of living. So I can't give you everything that I want to give you, but I stand before you because you guys know my work. You guys know who I am. Those that sit before me that we voted on, and I'll continue to vote for you. I wish that some of y'all could stay. I promise you, because I know what you have done in the streets. However, what I'm standing here before is so that we can come together and collaborate with all the resources. Everybody that got something to do with stop the violence or intervention, we need to come together under one roof. Like, everybody you know that's involved with stop the violence, instead of supporting their own agency, let's be like a wheel and a spoke. Every spoke deserves a part of that wheel. We need everybody, the teachers, the detention officers, the sheriff, the commissioners. We need everybody to come together and at some point say, look, man, stop. And then show them that we ain't just saying let's stop. So I ain't got a lot to say. I'm going to continue because he gave me the thumbs up. I'm going to continue my whatever this is. I'm going to continue it on a piece of paper. I'm going to send the emails out. I sent emails to everybody. Please read them. And then get back with me and let me know what you're willing to do to help me help y'all in this city.
Amen.
Like, I've been on Angie Avenue. Since 2002, so y'all can look at the board and see what I do. Thanks for letting me share.
Thank you for all you do, Mr. Garrett. Okay, Daniel Kemp. Micah Hunter Twatmeyer. If I said it wrong, my name is not Machina Navisha, so please correct me when you get to the microphone. Gina Asnone. Angela Ebron, and last but not least, Cassandra Cobb. So I'll do that again. Daniel Kemp, Gina Asnan, Michael Hunter Twitmeyer, Angela Ebron, and Cassandra Cobb. Oh, thank you. How you doing?
Good. How are you doing? Good evening, Commissioners. My name is Daniel Kemp. I currently live on Bent Willow Drive. I've lived in Durham for most of my life. I graduated from Jordan High School. I'm currently a science teacher at Riverside, and I've worked in Durham Public Schools for 5 years. I'm here today to strongly urge you to fully fund the Board of Education's budget request of $27.4 million to slow the bleeding in our public schools. Riverside, like many schools, is particularly worried about vacancies in our EC and ESL departments. We started this year already down 2 positions, and those were never filled. Since then, 8 EC staff have left mid-year, and many of those positions remain vacant. We anticipate at least 3 more of our EC staff leaving at the end of this year. This instability severely impacts the quality of education we can provide to our most vulnerable students. Overall, not just in EC and ESL, but more broadly, I'm tired of seeing my coworkers burn out and leave. I've seen colleagues who love Durham and want to teach in our Durham community go to other counties where they get master's pay or incentive pay. I've seen colleagues who were passionate about teaching and making a difference in our students' lives walk away because they could no longer manage the financial strain and burnout. The constant turnover creates a challenging environment for both staff and students. Every time a teacher leaves, it disrupts the continuity of education, destabilizes students' learning environments, and places additional strain on the remaining staff who have to take on extra responsibilities. We cannot wait for the state to come save us. That's not going to happen soon enough. Durham can do better to ensure that we are filling these gaps left by the state budget. Durham schools need Durham's help, and so much of Durham Durham is willing to help. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Mr. Kemp.
Was it Mike? Was I next? Okay. Good evening. My name is Micah Hunter Tweetmeyer, 2009 Carolina Avenue, and this is my 16th year teaching science at Riverside High School, and I'm also on the Durham Association of Educators Board. I'm speaking tonight to urge you to fully fund DPS's budget request. Funding the total requested amount, in particular providing the supplement for EC and ESL staff, will be steps towards ensuring our schools attract and retain such essential staff. EC and ESL staff enable my students to reach their academic potential. I cannot do my job without them. Riverside, just like my colleague said, started out with 2 EC vacancies, which we haven't filled yet, and we have 8 staff that have left mid-year, and we're expecting 3 more to leave by the end of the year. That's over half our EC staff. We know it takes courage to raise taxes, and it's not fair for the General Assembly to gut public education funding and ask for local governments to pick up the slack. We know it's part of the plan to dismantle public education. But we also know at this moment, Durham must do the right thing and fund the full education budget. As an educator in a classroom with hardly any air conditioning, leaky faucets, not enough desks for my 35-plus students in every class, and a scarcity of support professionals to support my students, and as a resident who is willing to pay increased taxes, fully fund our schools for our students and for the future of Durham. Thank you.
Good evening. My name is Gina Arnone. I'm a Durham Public Schools parent. I have 2 children at Lakewood Elementary. I'm here also to urge you to fully fund the Board of Education's budget request. I arranged to get off work early today to join the march and the rally and before this hearing. And this hearing, I'm here with my kids because this is of critical importance. There's nothing more important in our community right now. We need this budget request to be fully funded in order to hold on to our educators and to attract additional educators who are similarly fantastic. At our school, we have high quality, skilled, committed, and caring staff who serve our children. However, they cannot be expected to do this work if they are not taken care of. We must consider their well-being. This means fair compensation, including correcting and restoring classified staff's October pay raises, increasing certified staff's county supplement, funding EC and ESL monthly supplements, restoring master's pay. Other school districts already do these things, and we have lost high-quality DPS staff members to those other districts, and we will continue to lose staff and have difficulty attracting new staff if this is not rectified. Staff turnover profoundly hurts schools. Staff members are beloved members of a school community, and when they leave, the loss is felt. Staff members need to build new working relationships over and over. Children lose critical relationships with trusted adults. My family doesn't live close, so after my partner and me, the people who spend the most time with my kids by far are the school staff members. Not just their current teachers, but also...
Thank you, Ms. Anand. I'm sorry. It went off for like 30 seconds.
Oh, sorry.
So if you could just wrap up.
Yep, I'll wrap up. But not just our current teachers, but also previous teachers and other staff members, from instructional assistants, secretaries, custodial staff, cafeteria workers, and everyone else. So the relationships matter.
Yes,
we are a community. Thank you.
Thank you.
Good evening. I'm Angela Ebrin, and I live in Creedmoor. I teach at Forest View Elementary. I teach EC Pre-K, and I'm going to keep my mask on. There's a bug going around in my classroom. I never expected to get up here and speak before you tonight, but I've never been more sure that our students and our staff and coworkers, they need our help. In my EC Pre-K classroom, we have never had enough IAs. While we worked to fill the vacancy for months, my class had one IA and students with various abilities and needs, and none of them were potty trained. As more students transferred in, we would finish each day absolutely exhausted, and we did not have the time to collaborate and manage an ever-changing roster. When we finally received our second IA for the classroom, the budget cuts happened, and even more students joined our class. Maintaining our caseload when both members of my team were struggling with wondering how they were going to pay their bills after a combined loss of over $1K and not being properly paid for their, I'm speaking train, and not being properly paid for their combined work experience of over 15 years was hard. Not knowing how they were going to provide for their families but being told to be here for their kids hurt. Many of Durham staff have kids in Durham, and not knowing what would happen going forward was stressful. We should be moving forward into next year with less fear and belief that the county will be behind their entire staff and pay everyone a living wage. It is absolutely crucial that you fund DPS full budget requests so that my pre-K students and every other student all the way through 12th grade has the schools and staffing they deserve. If you don't, this generation of students will lose the education they deserve, and our entire community will be worse off. My students are depending on you. Thank you for your time.
Thank you, Ms. Eva.
Good evening, Commissioners. Good evening, everybody. My name is Cassandra Cobb. I am an instructional assistant at Spring Valley Elementary School. I started my career with Durham Public Schools January 6, 1981. So needless to say, I've been doing this a long time. I'm not just here to talk about the instructional assistants. However, classified staff is on my mind tonight. And I'm going to tell you why. Because I just want to give you a view of my day. For 7.5 to 8 hours a day, you say we go to school and we educate your children. That is what we're supposed to be doing. But let me give you a snapshot of what it really looks like. For 7.5 hours a day, when Durham Public Schools doesn't have enough nurses for us to have a full-time nurse, when your babies get hurt and injured, I'm a nurse too. For 7.5 hours a day, when our school has over 600 children and we have one full-time counselor and one part-time counselor, our kids come to school with baggage. So guess what? When they need somebody to talk to or to cry to, guess what I am? I'm a counselor too. When our kids come to school and they got really messed up issues, our kids have seen some horrible things, parents killed in front of them. I can only name so many more. And they just need somebody's lap to sit in and somebody to just let them cry or to rock them, I do that too. Oh yeah, and then I am still expected to follow the curriculum and educate these children, have my small groups, because everybody's not on the same level. So when that other teacher is up there teaching full group, I'm teaching small group to the ones that need that little extra attention. But guess what? I have 19 other of those little Jodies in the classroom, too, that still need that from me. In the last 10 years that I've been with Durham Public Schools, I haven't only worked 2 jobs. I've worked 2.5 jobs. Oh, yeah, my second part-time job is tutoring in the afternoons for those kids in my school who still haven't gotten everything they need during the day. So to say that classified staff is overworked, underpaid, underappreciated, that's just the beginning of the iceberg. Because we are so much more. Because we are so short-staffed this year, I can't tell you how many times we've been pulled away from that 19 classroom of kindergarten children to go upstairs and sub for fourth grade teachers because the fourth grade teachers are leaving quicker than you can change your hairstyle in a month.
Thank you, Ms. Cobb.
So I'm subbing for fourth grade. I'm subbing for fifth grade. We've had some instructional assistants to sub in as a PE teacher. Now, I don't know how many of you that are doing that have degrees in PE, but guess what? We make it work.
Thank you, Ms. Cobb.
Thank you.
Next we have Deneen Cherry, Amina Walker, Stephanie Messina, and Leslie Alanis.
Good evening. My name is Deneen Cherry. I'm a cafeteria manager at Broadham Middle School, and I have worked in Durham Public Schools for 26 years. I am strongly urge you to fully fund the Board of Education budget request of $27.5 million. One of the biggest issues we face is the constant need to train new employees because many leave due to low pay. We are constantly having to train new employees, which makes everyone's jobs harder. This problem is not unique to cafeterias, but affects every department in our schools, straining the entire system. The raises we received in October gave us a much-needed sense of appreciation and financial relief to classify staff and DPS. No one was getting rich off of those raises. They were simply a long overdue acknowledgement of the hard work we do each and every day. Public school staff, include cafeteria workers, are among the lowest paid employees in the county. And this disparity must be addressed to retain staff and maintain stability for our students. Although I live in Person County, I am committed to supporting the school in my community. I will gladly pay higher taxes to support schools in my county, and my family members in Durham feel the same. Investing in our public schools is critical because they are rising, and the next generation are the most important institution we have as a society. The cost not investing in our public school is far greater. Please consider raising taxes to ensure our schools and specifically resource in our staff and fairly compensation. The future of our children depends on it. Thank you for your time and your consideration.
Good evening. My name is Amina Walker. I'm the secretary at Lakewood Elementary School. I'm a resident of Durham and have been here for 43 years, homeowner, and am a proud member of the DAE. I'm speaking to urge you to fully fund the school board's budget request, and here's why. As the front desk office secretary, I am personally affected by the fact that my teammate in the front office, who is the interpreter for our school, will no longer be there. We have a high population of Spanish-speaking people. She's gone. When you remove her position, this becomes a problem because of the number of people who speak Spanish. And she doesn't just assist the parents, but the students and the other care providers at the school. Secondly, my position is being reduced from 10 months to 8 months. I don't know how you do that. But anyway, financially, it doesn't work. It makes it hard for me because I still have my same bills and 5 grandchildren to assist. Therefore, I implore you, esteemed members of the County Commission, to recognize the importance of fully funding the school board's request and make it right. Make the right decision. Thank you.
Hi, my name is Stephanie Messina. I've been teaching in DPS for 3 years. I'm speaking to urge you to fully fund the BOE's budget. I teach at Durham Performance Learning Center, where we serve some of the most at-risk students across the district. In the 3 years I have been there, we have lost 20% of our positions due to funding losses. Fully funding this request will ensure that my position in my school will be able to continue to exist. Schools across the district are in crisis from position cuts. Fully funding this budget will allow schools to keep and fill much-needed positions. Our staff needs this budget increase, which means our students need it, which means the district needs it. We cannot afford to wait for the state to address this crisis. You must fully fund this budget.
My name is Leslie. I'm a secretary at Club Boulevard Elementary, and I'm asking you to fully fund the Board of Education's budget request. On any given day, the data manager and I share the job of nurse. Our nurse is amazing, but unfortunately, she's only there 2 days a week. Sometimes one day if she's had, people have things going on. We are also the interpreters, the volunteer coordinators, the transportation coordinators, and many more things. And all of this is very overwhelming. And unsurprisingly, we do not receive any additional compensation for our work. Now, next year, they're cutting the secretary position for our school. So they expect the data manager is leaving because she refuses to do 2 jobs for 1 salary. Very understandable. And so they expect the treasurer and the community coordinator to fill in for the secretary and data manager, plus all our additional duties, and who knows what else. And all this is going to happen while managing the Growing Together changes, new administration, and of course, they will receive no additional compensation. They're just expected to do this. Next year, our school will also lose funding for the Dean of Students. So the Dean of Students mostly serves EC students and neurodivergent students. She talks to students when they are sent out of class, when they need a break, when they are having a meltdown. Ms. Wickelcheek is already very overloaded. She's constantly busy. She barely has time for bathroom breaks, and I don't think I've ever seen her take a lunch break. The kids love her, and they're always looking for her, and they definitely notice when she's not there. So I cannot imagine what would happen with her students if she's not there, because she's not going to be there next year. All of this is beyond ridiculous. So next year, students are supposed to make do with no secretary, no data manager, no nurse, or barely a nurse, no dean of students.
Thank you.
Okay, thanks.
Next, we have Josephine Cobb, Nikia, last name is hard to read, it's W-A-T-K-M? Watson, okay, I can't read, sorry. Nikia Watson, Anna Benfield, Elizabeth Cranford, and Jen Painter.
Madam Chair, while they're making their way to the microphone, point of personal privilege, I did want to take the time to acknowledge that we do have some school board members that were here when they were going through their financial crisis. I'm proud to say that all 5 of my board members did go to at least 1, if not 2, if not 3 of those public hearings. So I do want to at least take the time to acknowledge school board member Javanya Lewis, because they were doing the superintendent search but made the time to come here, and it is not her first time. I do see Bettina Umstead. I don't remember you ever coming, but I also acknowledge you too. Thank y'all.
My name is Anna Benfield, and I'm a Durham resident and a homeowner at 837 Berwyn Avenue. I'm a DPS occupational therapist and parent, and I'm a classified staff worker, and I took a $600 per month pay cut in March, and many of my colleagues lost even more. DPS employee morale is at an all-time low. Some of my colleagues have already left, and as of June 7th, DPS will have 0 remaining special education nurses. A survey of 500 classified workers this spring showed that 50% of us aren't sure whether we're coming back next year, and that decision depends on our pay. DPS is on the precipice of a mass staff exodus that will deepen an already dire staffing crisis. And when staff leave, students suffer. As an occupational therapist, I work daily with students with disabilities, providing legally mandated services so they can access their education. If dedicated staff, like us, are pushed out, I wonder, will the district be able to hire anyone to fill our shoes? Or will classrooms become even more understaffed and IEPs go out of compliance? Back in February, the district said they couldn't make payroll, but now it's different. Commissioners, you hold the people's checkbook, and it's time to listen to your people. The Board of Ed has brought you a budget of what our schools need to avert a mass staff exodus that will hurt our kids. We're willing to pay the increased property taxes to fund our schools, and our schools cannot wait. It's time to take historic action to meet a historic crisis and fully fund the $27.4 million DPS budget. Doing less is not an option.
Hello, my name is Nakia Bailey Watson. Right now, I'm serving as the manager in training for food nutrition. I work at Lowe's Grove Middle School, one of the hardest middle schools that they probably know people that been in there and everything. I'm just coming here just to let y'all guys know that we need the help and the support that we can get to get a better school. For us, as cafeteria workers, the bus drivers, the custodians, we're the first people that they see in the morning. They don't see the teachers right away. They see us. We give them their first meal. As the lady said, sometimes we're the counselor. Sometimes I have to give them hugs where I have to hear, girl, you know, last night they was fighting and MacDougal, da-da-da-da-da-da. And I got to say, you know, it's not the time and the place. Then I have a student, I have many students like, yo, you know, he got shot. Like, what you doing being out there like that? But what I come here today is to let y'all know that we need to be fully funded. I want to say at the beginning of the year when my paycheck was cut, I had 2 children that was pregnant. I have one child. She lost the baby. We woke up in the middle of the night, and the baby didn't have no heartbeat. So now she has another baby because she has twins, and now I have to look at it and say, what can I offer her? I can't give her a whole lot because I don't have a whole lot to give. But I have to be there to work. I can't work 2-3 jobs because I have to be there to support her. And that's all I got to say. Goodbye.
Good evening. My name is Elizabeth Cranford, and I live in Durham on Nation Avenue, and I have been a homeowner and taxpayer here for 17 years now. I work as an environmental educator in the community, and I'm also the mother of a 2nd grader at Lakewood Elementary. I'm here tonight to urge you to fully fund the Board of Education's budget request and to build on the things that others have said tonight. I want to point out to you, as someone who has a master's degree in education, I know the dedication and hard work required to earn a master's degree, especially while you're working a full-time job. And the children of Durham deserve educators with that determination and grit, and we need to help them make that happen. We have to properly compensate folks for their degrees and let others know that we value them continuing their education as educators. Without this part of the DPS budget, we're going to lose more amazing teachers to Wake and other local school districts. I know that this proposal has a high cost, but it will pay off in the long term. I'm willing to pay higher taxes to fund this high-quality education that all of our children deserve. We can't wait for the state legislature to step up and fund education like they should, so we have to make things happen here in Durham. So thank you for your time, and please choose to fully fund our public schools.
Good evening. I'm Jen Painter, and I'm an ESL teacher at Jordan High School and a DAE member. I'm speaking in support of full funding of the DPS budget request. This is my 23rd year in the classroom and my 21st year in DPS. I went to another county for 2 years, but I know where I belong, so I came right back. I've been at my current school since 2006. I think my longevity at my school has been to the benefit of my students and my colleagues. I know that I have benefited greatly from mentorship by educators whose entire careers have been in DPS. This kind of deep investment in a school and school system leads to a positive feedback loop in which the school benefits from the deep experience and institutional knowledge of veteran educators, and newer educators are incentivized to stay and become rooted in a school because they feel supported and valued. I know many educators who want to invest in Durham. They want to be in Durham Public Schools. We have to show our investment in them by passing a budget which funds crucial items like master's pay and classified raises.
Thank you. We got a little out of order with that group of five, so I just want to make sure. Did Josephine Cobb come up to speak? She did? Okay, I got that. I just wanted to make sure I didn't miss that one. Okay. The next five are Kendall Doyle, Christy Clem, Lily Gelman, and Kristen Southworth. And as they come up, just another point, there's lots of seats that are open now, so I know I see folks sitting on the ground and stuff, but feel free to come grab a seat. It's a lot more comfortable than our floors. Okay. It was Kendall Doyle, Christy Clem, Lily Gelman, and Kristen Southworth.
Hi, my name is Kendall Doyle, and I've been a Durham resident for 11 years, a homeowner for 9, and I am a Durham parent, DPS parent of 3 children who receive services at Durham, or at Moorhead. I'm not just a DPS parent, I'm a very difficult DPS parent, as our principal and administration would attest to, and I expect a lot from our schools, not just for my children, but for all children. I'm a big believer that there's no such thing as other people's children, and we need to show up for all of our kids. I see that both from like a core belief of like my values, but also recognizing that the world is a better place. Our community is a better place when we are all taken care of. The world is a safer place when all of our kids are getting what they need. Anyway, all to say, I'm at our school a lot. I have children who receive speech therapy and additional occupational therapy, and I see these educators and community members show up for these kids and fight for these kids and think creatively for these kids and be held back by the resources that you all are making available. This system is broken. We all know that this is intentionally underfunded through the state. And right now, that doesn't matter. They're not going to fund us, but you can. And we have an opportunity right now to be a model for the rest of the state. And we can say, sure, this is what schools look like when they're underfunded. They fail, we lose educators. But this is what Durham looks like when we do fund our schools. As a taxpayer, I will say as a parent, there's nothing more important than my children. As a taxpayer, I would happily pay more to support all of our students. Thank you. Thank you.
Hello, I'm Christy Clem, Wake resident. This is my 8th year as a DPS physical therapist. I'm here speaking on behalf of OTs, PTs, nurses, and sign language interpreters who all work with some of the most vulnerable students in the district. Also speaking for other classified staff who are impacted by the pay crisis. We're asking you to fully fund the school's budget request. Fully funding this request is the first step in slowing the rate at which DPS employees are leaving the district. Nurses, OTs, PTs, sign language interpreters are classified positions that require advanced degrees and/or national certifications and licensures. DPS has always paid less than nearby districts and private sectors, but we can no longer afford to stay. Help the district pay these licensed professionals what we would make in other counties and in private sector. Some of the surrounding counties are able to pay an additional supplement for relevant advanced degrees or doctorates. DPS already pays their speech therapists, who are the most closely aligned with OTs and PTs. They pay for doctoral degrees. Some surrounding counties pay these classified positions a supplement that makes them similar to certified pay of speech therapists and psychologists, but DPS has not been able to do that in the past because we haven't had enough of a budget. To give you an example of some pay impact that has happened, I now make $975 less a month than I did in October. If I went to Wake County, I could make up to $1,250 more per month with my doctorate. If I was a speech therapist in DPS, I could make up to $1,200 more per month with my doctorate. Last year, before we got this classified pay raise this past year, I made about $17,000 less a year than a DPS speech therapist that had the same degree, a doctorate that I had. If I look at my 8 years in the district, an estimate without looking at all the salary schedules from years past, I estimate I would have made more than $100,000 if I had been a speech therapist. I work with the same students.
Thank you, Christy.
They have the same IEPs, but yet these licensed professionals are not being compensated what we should. Thank you for your time. Fully fund the budget.
Hi, my name is Lily Gelman. I live at 3301 Shannon Road, number 16A. For the last year, I've been working as a literacy interventionist at Bethesda Elementary School, working primarily with students grades K through 2, though I'm trained to work with K through 5. Myself and my counterpart worked with about 80 students. We each worked on a part-time basis. I have another job at an education nonprofit that effectively subsidizes this job because this job paid me $15 an hour. My other job pays me $35 an hour. But I love working with the kids at DPS. I'm very committed to them. We were told on May 10th, suddenly and unceremoniously, that we were told the week before that we would be ending early for the year, earlier than it had ended the previous year. Something about the grant that funds us not, being able to continue, but or running out of money or something. But the point is that these students need so much more than we can give them right now. We're all drinking out of a fire hose. I was struck by this get a copy of my Durham a booklet that gives children in Durham a comprehensive resource to teach young readers about how Durham County government works. And I was thinking, I don't know how many of my second graders would be able to read something like that. They need to be able to read it. We didn't stop because they all can read now. A lot of them still struggle with very basic sight words, and I've seen the progress that they've made with me, and it's been deeply meaningful, and to have it suddenly halted has been a huge bummer. And I hope that I can continue to work with these kids. I don't know if I can come back next year or not. I would like to.
Thank you, Lily.
Good evening, Commissioners. My name is Kristen Southworth, and I am a community member, a Durham native, born and raised, DPS alumni, and a parent of 2 DPS students at Brogdon Middle School and Easley Elementary. Tonight, I am here not just as a parent, but representing the Durham Advocates for Exceptional Children. For those of you who may not be familiar with this group, we're a parent-led group working in collaboration with educators and community members to support and improve the educational experiences and outcomes of DPS students with disabilities and their families. This evening, I'm here to encourage you to prioritize the funding of the proposed DPS budget of $27.4 million. While I'm sure you have heard from many educators, school advocates, community members about the importance of this funding, I want to specifically speak to the impacts this funding has on our students with disabilities. Over the last year, DPS has struggled to be able to recruit, retain, and maintain our EC teachers and staff. With the recent vacancies ranging between 80 and 100 vacancies of EC staff alone, that is thousands of students of unmet needs. That is burnt out teachers who are having to cover classrooms. That is an inability to meet the guidelines required by our federal government to even evaluate students for disabilities. And when they are not evaluated, their needs are not met and therefore become a struggle in every classroom.
Thank you. And a reminder, if you're not able to finish your comments, you can email them as well so that we can get the full comments to our clerk's email. And the next couple are going to be Ariana Johnson-Wissick, Ali Cuffey, Aaron Bingaman, Lauren Banane, okay. Dabney Hopkins, Agnieszka McCourt, Sophia Basayas, and Elizabeth Jones.
Hey, Ariana Johnson-Wissick, Jordan High School, DAE. I live in Graham because I can't afford to live in Durham. However, I'm speaking tonight, and I thought about my drive that's 45 minutes to an hour long, what I wanted to talk about tonight. And what keeps sticking with me is that $27 million is a historic ask, when $97 million would be less than 10% of Durham's budget. And I'm frustrated by that when I think about everything that we do here for the school and for constituents that vote for you. As a previous history teacher, I don't have much faith in politicians doing things beyond their own personal interest, but the word that I focus on here is that this is a bureaucratic term, that this is a request. It is not a request. It is a demand. There are 230,000 voters who will be holding you accountable for this demand. We are taking notes of public officials in meetings. We are looking through meeting minutes. People will be voted out or voted in, and I will go to people's houses based on how people make their decisions going. So, with that being said, it would behoove you, it would be in your best interest, everyone in this room who is an elected official, to vote and to support this not request, but this embarrassingly historic demand of $27 million.
Good evening. My name is Erin Bingaman, and I teach 7th grade ELA at Brogdon Middle School. I also would like to request, there is a parent, Ali, who is not presently here, that they be moved to the end of the lineup. Thank you. So as I said, I teach 7th grade ELA at Brogdon Middle School. This year, I witnessed the turmoil of watching 4 of my grade level colleagues leave their positions at various points through the year. 2 of those colleagues were also English teachers, which left me to do the job of 3 English teacher as a first-year educator for only $43,000 a year after the supplement. DPS faces a critical turnover crisis that will only escalate if neighboring counties continue to offer more attractive opportunities. Losing staff at any level, whether front office, classroom, cafeteria, or custodial, threatens the relationships that exist at the very core of our education system and jeopardizes the future of our students. Please consider my words to be an enthusiastic enthusiastic invitation to fully fund the Board of Education's budget request for $27.4 million. Anything less will directly impact the compensation of my colleagues, ultimately affecting the quality of education our students receive. We cannot wait for state intervention. Action is needed now to provide job security for my colleagues and a high-quality education for my students. Thank you for your consideration. The well-being of DPS employees, students, and families is riding on your decision.
Good evening. My name is Lauren Benet, and I'm here as a DPS parent and Durham County voter to urge you to fully fund the BOE budget as proposed. It's a miracle that Durham Public Schools are as successful as they are given the challenges that they face. Parents know that they are behind that miracle, and y'all know that too. You ran on public education, you were elected by public education voters, and DPS is clearly a priority for Durham County constituents, and it's in crisis. It is shameful that some of our hardworking education professionals need county support to meet basic needs for their families because their paychecks don't cut it. Maybe we'll save county dollars elsewhere if DPS staff doesn't have to use your eviction prevention program or food stamps. Maybe down the road we'll save money avoiding court cases if we fund what is needed to provide legally required special needs services and the maintenance of playground equipment. And our buildings that are leaking. Some of our classrooms are better suited for growing mold than growing children. How is a $1.5 million budget for building repairs and renovations realistic when you have 55 physical schools, many of which need urgent repairs and renovations now? We are in a staff turnover crisis now. We are in an infrastructure crisis now. We need fully funded public schools now, and our schools simply cannot withstand the blow of an underfunded budget. DPS stakeholders respect and rely on DPS staff, and we are losing them at an alarming rate. Just because it's an increase doesn't make it enough. Saying it's better than our neighbors doesn't make it enough. This is an extraordinary ask because there is an extraordinary need. Please meet it. And quickly, my daughter wanted to speak tonight, but she's in second grade. She wrote this really lovely speech that I can't read because I'm not a second grade teacher. But it boils down to her being worried about things like the musical not happening at her school next year, or the electricity going off at her school because her second grade classroom was at 90+ degrees temperature for over 30 days when the HVAC shut down and nobody came to repair it. So our kids are definitely affected and aware of where going on. They're suffering the consequences.
Thank you. If you'd like to share your daughter's notes with the clerk, that can also be submitted into our minutes for the meeting. I don't know if she heard me. Erin?
Ma'am?
I was saying if you wanted to also share a picture or forward that to the clerk, we can also include that in the minutes of the meeting.
I'd be glad to, yeah. And I'll send a picture of her 10-month-old sister, too, because I'm worried about what DPS will look like when she's in kindergarten.
Good evening. My name is Dabney Hopkins, and I live at 1700 Sprung Avenue in Durham. I'm currently speaking tonight for myself and the Durham People's Alliance education team. I've lived in Durham over 55 years. I'm currently retired. I have long paid both city and county taxes, and I'm well aware and understand completely about the role of property taxes and the reluctance to raise the rate. But I stand before you ready to pay increased taxes. We need to fully fund the Durham public school system. This is an essential request for our community and for our students and our children in Durham County. I currently volunteer in the Durham public schools, and I have been very alarmed at the turnover rate and also the continuing underfunded, underappreciated, overworked staff from top to bottom. So I ask you tonight, please fully fund the Durham Public Schools. Thank you.
Good evening, commissioners and fellow community members. My name is Agnieszka McCourt.
I am a Durham resident, a proud mom of 2 kids in the Durham public school system, a DAE ally, and a member of the Durham People's Alliance Education Action Team. In my role on the action team, I bring 20 years of training in public health and expertise in the primary prevention of violence to advocate for the implementation of comprehensive restorative practices programming within DPS. Research shows that schools that have implemented restorative practices have experienced reductions in disciplinary actions, improved attendance rates, enhanced overall school climate, which in turn correlates to reductions in interpersonal violence and enhanced child well-being. Currently, our approach to addressing conflict and discipline in DPS is exclusionary and impacts children negatively, with many young children experiencing harms to varying degrees, including forms of identity discrimination, negative encounters with law enforcement, and direct physical violence. These harms are just some examples that contribute to an unsafe environment that is not conducive to learning, most especially for children of color who are disproportionately impacted. While my focus tonight has been on finding ways to grow restorative communities within DPS, I'm here to advocate for this board to fully fund BOE's request. We are aware of the financial challenges that DPS has faced this past year, but without covering the basic needs in public school systems that we've all heard about tonight, like paying teachers and staff, like maintaining building and technological needs, I realize that this cultural shift that I'm asking for is just
thank you.
Sorry, I just want to end with one sentence. It's a stretch. So what I'm urging you to do is to fully fund BOE's fiscal request to fund DPS. Thank you.
Good evening, Commissioners. My name is Elizabeth Jones at 1609 Maryland Avenue. I'm a Durham County homeowner, a DPS parent, and a DPS teacher. I'm speaking to urge you to fully fund the BOE's budget request. We know that this board has prided itself on fully funding prior DPS budget requests, and I'm grateful for that support. However, I also am grateful to the Board of Education for this historic budget request that, in contrast with prior requests, actually reflects the true cost of providing Durham children the education they deserve. Let's be clear, a $13 million increase isn't going to cut it. There is no wiggle room in this budget. Many of our classified staff don't make a living wage. We're losing certified and classified staff to other districts and other jobs where they can get paid more. I know families whose children haven't been taught by a certified teacher for 2 years. Our buildings are crumbling. My son's school has mold and was without a functioning HVAC for over a month in 90-degree weather. I teach elementary ESL, and our caseloads have grown to over 70 students per teacher this year. I also acknowledge that the county shouldn't be in the position to provide this level of funding during a challenging budget year, but here we are. Should the state legislature step up to meet its constitutional duty to provide an adequate education for all children? Absolutely. But we all know that that is not happening tonight. Commissioners, no one is coming to save us. This is our community, our children, our future. I urge you to find a way to fully fund the Board of Education's budget request. Thank you.
Good evening. My name is Sophia Bessius, and I live in Durham. I'm also from Durham. I attended E.K. Poe and Forest View Elementaries before switching to private school in 5th grade. I am planning for my 3- and 5-year-old children to graduate from DPS. And tonight, I am urging you to fully fund the BOE's request. As a DPS parent and a DAE ally, I say fight the plan to dismantle public education. As a public health professional, I say fund education today, not the consequences of a shortfall tomorrow. Hearing that We are coming out of a pandemic when we have learned the transformative power of clean air, and there are non-functioning HVACs in a number of schools should be unacceptable. As a homeowner, I say raise my taxes. As a community member, I say let this budget reflect the values you've heard from so many of us tonight, and I'm ready to support your decision. Thank you.
Did we have Lauren Benene? Did they speak? Did it? Okay, sorry, just want to double check. Okay. Next we have Nicholas Graber Grace, Kia Parrish Haim, Catherine Goldstein, John Hodges Koppel, Brian Schneiderman, Lee Bordley, and Matt Kopak.
Good evening. My name is Nicholas Graber Grace, and I reside at 829 Clarendon Street. So, DPS made a major budget error last year, an $8.9 million error. But giving raises to classified staff was not a mistake. The mistake was failing to ask this commission for enough funding in the first place. That mistake puts you in a tough spot, but your frustration level pales in comparison to that of workers who have been left holding the bag. Do not leave them holding the bag again this year. If you choose to underfund our schools by adopting the manager's recommended budget, students will be harmed in 3 ways. Critical student services will be disrupted because the recommended budget fails to address classified staff pay, leaving DPS $8.9 million short and leaving classified staff holding the bag again. 2, our EC students and English language learners will be harmed because the recommendation does not fund the EC and ELL supplement, and learning conditions will remain unacceptable because the manager's budget does not include additional capital funding. Thankfully, you have the power to adjust the proposed budget before you vote in June. Ask any parent or grandparent, is it worth an extra $100 in taxes to make sure your kid has the supports they need at school? Is it worth $200? You'll get the same answer pretty much every time. Oh, that sounds hard. I hate taxes. But yeah, I love my kid, and if that's what it takes, I'll make it work. In Durham, we care deeply about our children. We can make this work. Another option is borrowing a modest amount from fund balance this year and trying to make things right by developing a longer-range plan moving forward. DPS exhausted its fund balance this year to address this crisis.
Thank you, Nicholas.
It only is fair that the county would do the same. Thank you.
My name is Catherine Goldstein, and as a homeowner, taxpayer, entrepreneur, and DPS parent of 3, I am begging you to raise my taxes. In our 5 years in DPS, my son has had 5 of his teachers' NIAs leave his school and spent most of 2nd grade without a teacher. We are currently without a superintendent. We are facing a crisis of trust with our teachers and staff as a result of this year's pay debacle and financial mismanagement. Our confusing and poorly executed redistricting process has broken trust with parents, and our enrollment numbers continue to drop despite the population explosion in Durham County. People don't want to move here and do business here if our public schools are in crisis. But despite all of these challenges, I believe that as a community, we can come together and right this ship. It won't be easy, but it starts right here tonight with you all, our county commissioners. We need to set up our future superintendent for success and instill confidence that Durham is committed to put our public school is committed to our public school district. I'm here to urge you to approve the BOE's full request for funding for next year. This is the bluest county in North Carolina. We have voted for many of you due to your stated commitment to our public schools. When the state tries to undermine and defund public education, we must fight back with our own funding. We must be the progressive visionaries this county needs and deserves. Thank you.
Hi, I'm John Hodges Koppel, a former DPS parent and current DPS grandparent. Less than 2 years ago, you authorized a $423 million bond vote. The Durham Public Schools promised to voters would fund a new Durham School of the Arts, the new Murray-Massenburg Elementary School, and desperately needed renovations to 6 Title I eligible elementary schools. They told you and the voters that $120 million would be needed to move DSA, and that building a new DSA campus would be far less costly than a stellar improvement to the current campus. Now, just 18 months since the bond passed, the cost to move DSA has ballooned to over $250 million, making it the most expensive local project ever in Durham County. DPS proposes to sweep funding away from 4 of those elementary schools to build a fancy campus in North Durham, all while ignoring students, teachers, parents, and the community, and so far refusing to share information related to costs. Seeking to rescue the funding for elementary schools and to make the current campus a model learning environment, we've been working with engineers, architects, and planners with well over 100 years of combined experience doing just these kinds of projects. And we know that improving DSA can be done for far less than moving DSA, allowing at least 2 more bond-approved elementary school renovations to be completed. This would not just be a DSA renovation, it involves new construction and would have brand new space for exceptional children's education, dance, chorus, piano, guitar, science, and math. The concept would save at least $50 million and up to $80 million over moving DSA.
Thank you,
Our
Mr.
ask is simple.
Hodges-Koppel.
Please send a strong signal that since the county must come up with funding to solve DPS's fiscal crisis over staff pay, that the county expects DPS not to create another fiscal crisis over funding buildings, which will cascade for years through your budget. Thank you.
Hello, my name is Lee Boardley. I'm here to talk about funding for DPS. I believe DPS's current plans for expending the 2022 bond funds are inequitable and financially irresponsible. I hope you'll help us convince the BOE to change course. DSA needs and deserves a new space. We all agree. There is only disagreement about where their beautiful new space will be and how much it will cost. There are 2 options: build a brand new building or renovate. According to DPS's own estimates, those they have shared, we would save at least $7.7 million by renovating DSA. A group of professionals experienced in the construction and renovation of large public buildings volunteered with Durham for DSA. They estimate we would save $52 to $85 million by renovating. It is a waste to spend money that you don't have to spend. Wasting public funds is wrong, especially because this new school will literally be at the expense of, on the backs of, younger and more marginalized students at the elementary schools that will have to wait for their renovations. And while we are waiting for that next bond, their schools will need Band-Aid repairs, their needs will become more severe, and their renovation costs will rise. I have always thought the BOE should have taxing authority, but the state disagrees, and it is on you, the county commissioners. You will have to explain to the voters why our taxes should be increased to pay for actually necessary staff pay increases. Yes, DAE. And when the next bond is scheduled, why it should be passed. If the BOE chooses to waste funds, our youngest, most vulnerable children will suffer, and your job is going to be a lot harder. Let's do right by our kids and make it easier to raise the funds that DPS needs and deserves. Thank you.
Good evening. My name is Brian Schneiderman. I'm a parent of
One second, Brian.
Oh, sorry.
Clerk Wallace?
Yes.
Can we reset? Thank you.
Thought I was going to get extra time. My name is Brian Schneiderman, and I'm a parent of 2 children at Moorhead Montessori. We love the school, we love the staff, we love the teachers, we love the families. The building, not so much. As you've heard, we are underfunded in the schools. We're underfunded for the buildings. As we've heard tonight, there are many people, taxpayers including myself, that we support the DAE and funding teachers. However, we're about to make a decision for funding a building, DSA, for spending $250 million for a decision that was made 18 months ago and the cost of balloon. That could mean that schools like my children and other kids will not get their building renovated. The only way to do that will be to go back to the well, back to ask taxpayers again to put up more money, simply because we won't pause and reassess and recalculate the cost and compare new construction versus renovations. Let's just take a moment. We're seeing that when we make rash decisions, when we don't have all the information, we are in danger of making fiscally poor decisions. So, as a taxpayer, I support you raising my taxes for funding teachers. I don't support raising taxes for poor decisions about buildings. Thank you.
Good evening, commissioners and staff. My name is Matt Kopak, representing the more than 600 signatories of Durham for DSA, and I'm also a Club Boulevard Elementary parent of a 3rd and a 5th grader. At Club, our HVAC system and plumbing are constantly breaking, and we have mold issues. Our babies, our teachers, our staff have to deal with this every day. I believe that our schools deserve significant public investment. I support BOE's full budget request, and I stand in solidarity with the elementary school parents and workers here this evening. I do not believe that we can simply point fingers at the state and county and say that underfunding is the sole source of our problems. I believe we also need to spend our dollars wisely, like improving DSA downtown instead of spending at least $256 million on a new building. We can have an excellent state-of-the-art downtown DSA that preserves the mission of the school, expands enrollment, and saves at least $50 million for other needs like our elementary schools. Easy, right? Yet DPS is holding firm, regardless of the cost and regardless of stakeholder sentiment. And there's a concerning lack of transparency in the process. I believe we've lost our way when we think that $50 to $80 million doesn't matter, when we think community engagement doesn't matter, and when we believe transparency doesn't matter. I'll bet it matters to the other folks who spoke here this evening, and I'll bet it matters to all of you. We urge you, the County Commission, to help bring accountability and demand that DPS do an apples-to-apples comparison between moving DSA or improving DSA downtown and funding elementary schools before spending any more on new DSA. Durham deserves this due consideration. Thank you so much.
Thank you. Did Kia Parrish-Haim speak? She had to leave. Okay, thank you. Allison Swaim, Katie McConnell, Eleanor Weston, Maya Jackson, and then Ali Cuffey. And that's the last of the people that I have. So if all of you want to come line up. Is that Ali? Okay, yeah.
Good evening. I'm Allison Swaim. It's my 10th year at Riverside High School, which makes me a veteran teacher. It shouldn't be that way. DPS needs $27.4 million. All of it. This is urgently needed. I'm sick of seeing my coworkers leave, and that is why I've dedicated my life this year to building our union. Should the state be funding our schools? Yes, of course. And they aren't right now. And our schools cannot wait. And frankly, the best shot we have to flip the balance of power statewide is by building more and more strong local public school unions who can push their local electeds to lead bravely, just like we're doing here in Durham. The Board of Education made a bold, historic budget ask because thousands of us and our coworkers chose hope. We came together, we organized, and guess who's watching? Forsyth, Edgecombe, Chatham, Wake, Guilford, Buncombe, Rowan County. They're all watching Durham and they're following our lead. And when we have 10 and 15 and 20 strong locals, that's the kind of power building that will help us shift the balance of power in Raleigh. Right now, in Durham, our schools are in crisis, and you all have an opportunity to lead boldly and lead with us. You can be part of the movement to turn the tides at the state level. You can choose to lead with us. Classified staff pay, EAC, ESL staff, master's pay, certified pay, anything less than the full $27.4 million, the board's going to have to choose. Don't make them choose. Thank you.
Hi, I am next, right? Katie McGonigal. Okay, I didn't want to overstep or overspeak. My name is Katie McGonigal, and I teach and live in Durham by choice and not by chance, for now. I was not planning on speaking tonight until 2 armed guards wanted everyone who entered this room, a room that only has 13 assigned seats. I wish our schools were fully funded so I could feel this safe every day when I'm at work. I wish our schools were fully funded so Northern High School could provide the state-of-the-art security, facilities, and the staff that they promised my daughter Mia and this community. I wish our schools were fully funded so my children could participate in all the extracurricular activities that they want to, but because as a single mother and a teacher in Durham, I can't afford to supplement their limited extracurricular budgets. I have to tell my children, you can only pick 2. That doesn't feel good, to tell your children they can only pick 2. I wish our schools were fully funded so as a teacher and a single mom in this county, I could be a homeowner in Durham. What a dream that would be, to be a teacher, a single mother, and a homeowner in Durham. Ladies, gentlemen, Commissioner people, the guys in this room, I don't know who votes, but I do know this, that you hold the power to change the educational journeys of my children here tonight. You will fully fund their schools to provide my daughters, Mia and Elin, the teachers that they need to be successful. You hold the power to change the lives of my colleagues and myself. Please pass this historic budget. Every day I tell my children in my first grade classroom, you can be the change. Prove me right. Be the change.
Hi, good evening. My name is Maya Jackson. I am a 4th-generation Durhamite. I live on Hill Street. I'm a product of DPS. So one part as a parent, I'm here in solidarity, and I pray that you are able to see the increase and not decrease in your budget. I'm also here to speak about increasing early childhood education because as a community-based doula and someone who runs a community-based maternal health organization, we have been feeling the impact before COVID, before Roe was overflipped, and the demand is increasing. As someone who has been fired because they were a lactating parent, who's been discriminated against while pregnant, I am still seeing these issues and challenges that our families are dealing with every day in Durham. And as we work alongside your systems within government, the referrals are increasing, but the funding is not. And so I really think that a lot of the conversations that we're having now are very intersectioning with each other, because if we want to make an investment in our children, into the school systems, we have to make an investment in parents. And that's one of the biggest things that I feel like Durham is lacking right now, is the lack of investments into the overall health and well-being of the parents, the mental health and the support that they need. So as a demand, as someone saying, said before, I would like to request that we increase the budget for early childhood education. I would also like to say that there should be a line item for maternal health, particularly for our Black and brown birthing people in this community. Many of them that are coming here for services cannot access services because they don't have health insurance, because they can't fit into some of the social services program because they make too much, but it doesn't mean that they don't need help. So to put a number in it, because I'm going to, again, highlight the work that we've done over the past years with each other, we need at least $500,000 to be able to do this work, to be able to make sure that we can provide the wraparound services with doula services, maternal mental health, lactation, because now we have physicians at the WIC office at Lincoln referring their clients to us. So now we're having to take on the capacity of institutions that are no longer working. So I'm asking for this request. I'm asking for this increase because now our families are going to need access to child care, and many of these families have to go back to work between 2 to 4 weeks postpartum.
Thank you, Maya.
That is not enough time to heal. So I thank you guys for your time, and again, sending solidarity to everyone, and I pray that we can increase the budget and not decrease it.
Hello, everyone. My name is Ali. I have a student at Lakewood Elementary currently. And I guess for just keep it simple, the demand, just to fully fund the school board budget request. What we have seen, and I mean, the main focus is always the kids. And so just the teachers not being able to kind of provide just that, you could say, just their morale being low, it kind of affects the kids' morale because they're there to kind of guide our kids. They're the main piece. We need to make sure the ones my kids with these people most of the day, I need to make sure those people, mental health is where it needs to be. So the budget is a big piece. When the debacle happened, some teachers had to kind of find new ways to kind of just proceed with their day-to-day life because they have, just things to think about of how their life outside of school is going to be taken care of. And this is a piece that could really help. I know my kid, his teacher had to kind of think about what she needed to do to make sure that she's still in the best position to assist the kids, and having this weight on her shoulders, her and her husband at the time, right? It put a debacle for them. So, again, fully funding the budget request is like the main thing I would think for all of us, for the kids, because we want the kids to be able to be guided properly. And I'm going to keep it simple. I'm there. I kind of rushed here, so I'm glad you guys had air. Thank you.
And then, did we have Eleanor Weston? Okay, I think they may have left. That concludes everyone who has signed up for public comment. I want to thank everyone for taking the time and coming out to our meeting tonight and sharing your comments. I know this board hears all of you and is going to be taking it into deep reflection as we continue to have our budget work sessions. Our next one is Thursday, correct? And it's in these chambers. If you want to, there's no public comments during that period, but you can see the different discussions and presentations we'll be having from the departments as we talk through all the different areas of the budget. And you're free to join us and listen into those as well. I do want to take a short moment of personal privilege as well. Commissioner Burns recognized Ms. Giovannia Lewis and Bettina Emstead, but also we have our interim superintendent, Caddy Moore, is here. Recognize her as well. And also just congratulating DAE as well for reaching majority membership for their members. And I know we all look forward to a very hearty discussion as we work on this budget, and know that all of us care about our students and we're working really hard to try to figure out all the services and programs that we need to fund for Durham County. Thank you all again for joining us tonight. That brings us to the next item, which is our board and commission appointments, that I will ask Attorney Massey to review the ballots.
I think I'm missing.
Yes. Okay.
Look, somebody picked my number. Give me a moment, ma'am.
Hold on. Yeah. I need to get the taboo buzzer? I need to just have one of those and just start buzzing it on my Yeah. And also when people are like clapping over and they clap over it. Yes.
Madam Chair, I have counted the ballots and can announce the following decisions by the board. Appointment to the Bicycle and Pedestrian Advisory Commission, Anthony Reevy. To the Community Child Protection and Child Fatality Prevention Team, Elizabeth Conrad. To the Dangerous Dog Appeal Board, Nicodemus Montz. And to the Memorial Stadium Authority, Charles Epps.
Thank you, Attorney Massey, and congratulations to everyone who was selected for these appointments. And for folks who weren't selected this time, please continue to look at the different boards and commissions that we have vacancies for. There's a lot of different opportunities for you to be able to serve, and we would love to have everyone's support in helping us lead in Durham. The last item we have is a closed session. The board is requested to adjourn into closed session to consult with an attorney employed or retained by the public body in order to preserve the attorney-client privilege between the attorney and the public body to discuss the national opioid litigation, which privilege is hereby acknowledged pursuant to General Statute 143-318.11A3. Do I hear a motion to move into closed session?
So moved.
Second.
Okay, moved by Vice Chair Byrne, seconded by Commissioner Jacobs. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Okay, we are moved into closed session. Thank you, everyone, for joining us for this meeting.